WATD presents John Paul, the Car Doctor. All things automotive. Have questions? Call or text 781-837-4900. Now, here's John Paul, the Car Doctor.
And good Sunday morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. My name's John Paul, the Car Doctor, here to help you with your car problems and different things, whatever you have on your mind. We have, as promised, we have no guests this week, so we have the phone lines are open if you would like to join us at 781-837-4900. I glanced at WATD's Facebook page, and I noticed our buddy Paul Sullivan from Sullivan Tire got an award, and Rob Hackler was there, and a few other locals got awards, so that was good to see. We have a bunch of questions we have to get to, and no car reviews because I'm sort of in between car reviews right now. I gave up my last car when I was up in Massachusetts. I did come down to Florida. That's where I am now, where, like New England, it's going to be cold. It's not cold right now, but apparently it's going to be in the 40s on Tuesday, so everybody's going to have their winter coats on and winter boots and gloves and all kinds of stuff. But it doesn't last too long usually when it gets chilly down here. But it's always fun to see. You can always tell sort of the tourists from the locals, because when it's 40 degrees, the tourists are wearing shorts, and the locals are all bundled up like there's going to be a nor'easter. So always kind of fun to see. So the ride from Massachusetts to Florida was pretty uneventful. I always think I'm going to see some really interesting things on the road. You know, I've seen some prototype cars occasionally. I saw a fully electric tractor trailer one time, which was kind of interesting to see. I hadn't seen one before. I'll probably never see another one because it wasn't a Tesla one. It was the Nikola one, and I'm not sure they're even still in business. But they made one, and they were out there testing it. They actually were making a hydrogen fuel cell truck, which kind of makes more sense too. I did see a woman in the left lane driving a Jeep, and every time she'd hit a break in the pavement, she'd be stepping on her brakes because she had what's sort of referred to as the Jeep death wobble, where you hit a bump and all of a sudden the whole car starts to shake. And you can fix that. First off, you look to see what's wrong with it. You know, make sure there's nothing abnormally wrong, like tie rod ends that are loose or ball joints that are loose. And usually a steering stabilizer takes care of that. And sometimes you have to add an aftermarket one if there isn't one there. That usually takes care of again, what's referred to as the death wobble. This one didn't have really oversized tires. Oversized tires will usually make it worse. Did see a few interesting cars, but nothing really outlandish. Went to a car show this past Wednesday. The little town, which is not so little these days, that I live in now, usually has a Cars and Coffee every Wednesday. And since I've been going, they're now on their third location. The first location was in a plaza with a little breakfast lunch place. The folks at the Cars and Coffee would go in and have breakfast. They all liked it, but the owner of the property rented the rest of the plaza out to a gym. The gym didn't want to see up to what could be 300 cars there on a good day. So they didn't want to lose their parking because of that. So then they moved over to another plaza where there is a variety of stores as well as a supermarket. They are remodeling the supermarket. By remodeling, it was sort of in the middle of the plaza. They actually tore it completely down. So there's like two halves of the plaza with nothing in the middle. That's where the new supermarket's going to go in. And they said, no, you can't be here because of construction traffic. So now they're in a public parking area over at a little recreation center, and somebody said, well, it would be great, get a food truck over here, a coffee and donut truck over here. And the problem is right now it's just essentially public parking, and you can park there all you want. But as soon as you put a food truck there, it becomes commercial. Same thing even if you wanted to have music playing, other than if people with their cars had music playing. But if you wanted to have like a DJ or something, which they've never done at this event, then it becomes more complicated. So they said, "Oh, you guys can park here if you want. That's fine." So that's what they're doing now, waiting to find maybe another place at some point to find everything that's going to work the way it's supposed to for that. So when we came down here, we were pleasantly surprised. There was no hurricanes, or at least any little hurricanes that they had in Florida didn't really affect anything. The Volkswagen that we leave here, I keep on a battery tender, and I go through the same things that you would putting a car away for the winter. I kind of put it away for the summer. So I clean it, I wax it, I fill it up with gasoline, add fuel stabilizer. I've tried them all. I think Stabil, Stabil, is the one that I have always had the best luck with. It's done everything that I've ever wanted to do. The gas doesn't seem to go bad, so I like it. I'm sure after years it would, but after a little while, never seemed to really have a problem. Batteries on a battery tender. I've had a couple, and the only C-Tech battery tender, which is probably the more advanced of all of them, was one that would it could be almost completely wireless for a short period of time, and it also had a big solar panel you could attach to it. It actually quit working, so I stopped using it. I went back to the battery tender brand, which I've used. I have something called a battery minder that I keep on the other car that's sitting. And that one works. That one's interesting because it has a desulfation mode, so where you press a button and it pulses the electricity, and it's supposed to break up the plates a little bit, takes all the junk off the plates and makes it work. There, I got a question some time ago, and it had to do with that. And it was, what happens? I've heard that if you hook up an arc welder to a battery and you pulse it on and off, it'll clean the plates off the battery, it'll make the battery work again. And I have never tried it. I have done some research, and it does look like it sort of works. Took a battery that had, no voltage in it, very little cold cranking amps, wouldn't take a charge, hooked it up to an arc welder, pulsed it a bunch of times. All of a sudden, it kind of came back to life. I don't know. Maybe there's a cottage industry of refurbishing batteries using an arc welder. Sounds dangerous to me, but maybe it does work. I don't know. But anyway, so I had the battery tender on the car, came here, had the car cover tied down because we don't have a garage. It's in a carport. Had the car cover tied down, crisscrossed every way imaginable. Got it all uncovered, got inside of it, got under the hood, made sure nothing was living under there, which is pretty common here in Florida, probably even more so than in New England. I always worry about mice getting into cars because you see them all the time. In Florida, it's snakes, iguanas, and rats. Rats are pretty common. They're sort of like squirrels, and there's a lot of them around. And fortunately, none of that. Last year, when I uncovered the car and took the plastic engine cover off, which is a good idea when you put a car away, take that cover off because that tends to be a home for critters. When I took the engine cover off, I did find evidence that something had lived there for a little while. Fortunately, it didn't chew on anything, so that was good. But it was still one of those things that you kind of don't want to see anything living in my cars. And aired up the tires. Tires actually did pretty well, sitting over a 6-month period of time, and aired them up, and we were good to go. I also take the insurance, some of the insurance off the car for the summertime, because it's not being driven, so I take that part of the insurance off and just have, if a tree falls on it kind of thing, if that kind of damage happens. So, got the insurance back up, and so far, so good. Everything's working the way it should. But whenever you let a car sit, sitting is just not great for anything mechanical. It's amazing how it ages in place, and things can still get rusty. I'm somewhat torn between car covers sometimes that, you cover them over and, you're trapping moisture in. The car covers are supposed to be breathable. I'm pretty happy. I've been using Empire car covers for quite a while. The last one seemed to survive a hurricane. So it did pretty well. Didn't survive the one before that. Didn't survive Hurricane Ian though. That was 3 days of like 150 mile an hour winds. But anyway, so the car was all good. My little Hyundai that we drove down here is, I changed the oil on it 3 or 4 weeks before we left. Drove what amounted to about 2,000 miles. Checked the oil, still full. So everything's good there. And driving somewhat not cautiously, driving the speed limit-ish. Just about 30 miles a gallon. So not bad considering, there was a fair amount of stuff in it. And so, not too bad, all things considered. So pretty uneventful drive. This morning when I came out here to start work, because this is usually a work day for me. Usually on Sundays and Mondays, I do my AAA work because I still work at AAA part-time. And I usually try to work on Sundays and Mondays because it's quieter. I'm not a sports fan, so I'm not distracted by football. And so I usually sit down and do my work. But I always go over to my broadcast equipment and turn it on and make sure everything's going to work the way it should. And it didn't. Now, I have, there's 2 backups, I guess. The first backup is I could call over the phone and do the program over the phone. Workable, terrible, but workable. The second one is I have an app that connects to the same piece of equipment that I connect to here. It works okay, but there's no good microphone. It's all right. It'll get by. In fact, after Hurricane Ian, when I came down to see what was wrong, we had no internet, and that was the only ability to do the program was with the app on the cell phone, and it was okay. It did the job the way it's supposed to. But so I started looking to see what was wrong, disconnecting things, and my modem and router are tucked away in a closet. Looked there, everything, all the lights were on the way they were supposed to be. Come to find out, it looked like it was a bad cable between the router and this other wireless box that I have, or it could have even been between the modem and the router. And fortunately, I always try to plan for the worst, so I had extra cables with me. I was able to swap out LAN cables and get everything to work, so everything's working the way it's supposed to be. If you would like to join us, our phone number is 781-837-4900, 781-837-4900. It's how you get through, and you can get through just like Jim from North Reading is getting through. Jim, good morning.
Good morning, John. How are you?
I'm okay. Now that my stress level has gone away, wondering how am I going to make all this work this morning, but everything's working the way it should, so I'm happy.
I'm glad your stress level's down. I have a 2014 Sentra SR that I replaced the front and back pads and the master cylinder, and I'm having a heck of a time trying to bleed the master cylinder. I have an expensive scan tool. It'll only go up to around 2010, I think it was, for the Sentra. And I've tried driving it on the road and slamming on the brakes, and that they say that will activate it. The ABS, and that actually it's not the master cylinder, it's the ABS. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The ABS did activate. I could feel it pulsating, but then I bled the brakes after. Still nothing.
So is the pedal lousy? Is it a soft, squishy pedal?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Um, Here's what I would try. And this is going to sound backwards from the normal. Normally, when you bleed brakes the regular old-fashioned way, you pump up the brake pedal, have somebody open the furthest bleeder screw away, the right rear, push it down, close it. You know the procedure.
Yeah.
If you can, just crack open all 4 bleeder screws. Just open them up just a little bit, just so they maybe you just start to see a little something. And then start the car, and with your hand, just like kind of push on the brake pedal, just like maybe half an inch. Just kind of steadily with your hand. And what will happen is you'll start to see fluid come out of the closest place first. So you'll see it come out of the left front, close that, then right front, then left rear, and then right rear. Try that to see whether you can get the air out of the system that way. I've had really good luck doing that. In fact, an old time, actually, it was, how long ago was it? God, it was ages ago. An old time mechanic told me that's how he always worked by himself, and he said that's how I bled brakes like that for ages. That's how I've always done it. And and I've tried the vacuum, the pressure bleeders. They're okay, and I've tried the vacuum one where you attach the vacuum hose to the bleeder and suck out the fluid that way. But I've found this way and what happens is, because you're easy on the brakes, it just tends to push all the air out of all the different systems. So, out of the metering valve, and, out of the master cylinder, and out of the ABS pump, and it tends to get the air out. So I would give that a try and see what happens.
You're recommending like one person inside the car just pushing down a little bit, and then someone else on the outside closing them one at a time, closest to the first.
If you have 2 people, if not, just if you have it jacked up a little bit, or not even, if you kind of door open, kneeling down, just kind of pushing on the brake pedal with your hand, and kind of looking under the car every couple minutes and see when fluid starts to drip out. Usually, you get pretty lucky.
I can give that a shot. Is there an easy way of finding a scanner that will do more than? I mean, I did a lot of research on my scanner. I called you once to program keys.
Yeah.
I was able to get it to open it to start the car with the fob, but I haven't been able to program it to do the door locks, for instance. And now when I got this for the scanner, it said it did a lot of ABS, and I couldn't get it to do this car. Is there one scanner that can do a lot more? And how do you find out the right scanner?
Do garages
have multiple scanners?
Garages have dozens sometimes, it seems like. They have a wall of scanners. I mean, a lot of garages use the Autel scanner. It's about a $6,000 scanner. It does a pretty good job. I had a neighbor here who said my heat and my air conditioning is not working on my car, and I said, well, come on down and I'll take a look. And I was using the X-Tool scanner. And first off, I haven't used it in 6 months, so it had 259 updates it had to do first.
I did that 2 days ago with the exact same scanner.
Yeah. And it was able, I mean, it gave me some control, but it wasn't, I was a little disappointed in what I could do with it, because it was, I wanted to try to get it to operate the blend door, and that's what I think was wrong with it. Although there was no code for it. When I switched the controls from hot to cold, there was really no change. It was just like the temperature coming out of the vents was just average, and so I'm like, well, let's see what I can get it to do here, and see what I can get it to read. And I could go into a couple of different modes to get the fan to turn on, and I could look at different things. But it seemed like the one thing I really wanted to do was I wanted to manually manipulate the blend door, and I couldn't get it to do it. And it was just it was a little bit frustrating because it just didn't want to do what I wanted it to do. So with this car, let's see while we're talking. Let's see what it says here. How to bleed brakes in this. Let's see. You said it's a 2014 Sentra?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. We'll get over the warning. So don't drink brake fluid. So it tells you to do that. Don't let it run out of brake fluid. Before working, disconnect the ABS actuator and electronic control unit. Okay. So where the actuator is in the control unit, it says disconnect that. Turn ignition switch off and disconnect ABS actuator and electronic control unit, connector or negative battery cable. Connect the vinyl tube. Oh, and then it just goes through regular old bleeding system. So nothing, not even a scanner.
And that will do the ABS?
Yeah. According to this, it says.
Nothing.
Yeah. I mean, according to this, and here, I'll read the steps. Disconnect the ABS control unit. Connect the vinyl tube to the right rear brake bleeder. Depress brake pedal 4 times. With the brake pedal depressed, loosen the bleeder screw, bleed all the air, then tighten it immediately. Repeat steps 3 and 4 until all the air is out of the brake line. Tighten the bleeder screw, and then it says, let's see, it says remove. Yeah, kind of goes around. Then it says replace. Repeat steps 2 through 6 with master cylinder reservoir filled at least part way. Bleed out the air in the following order: front right, front left, right rear, left rear. So I don't know.
Reverse order.
Yeah. So it starts off doing the furthest away, until you get fluid out there, and then it says once that happens, tighten the bleeder screw. And then it says repeat steps 2 through 6 with the master cylinder filled, and then which is the bleeder, the hose and the crack the bleeder screw and all that stuff. It says bleed the air. So according to the procedure, you don't need to do nothing. Just disconnect the actuator and the control unit.
Where are you getting this? I've never heard anybody talk about doing
this. Is right off of All Data.
From where?
All Data, the technical database. Yeah.
You have to pay for that one.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'll pay for it.
They do have like a single use one, and the other thing. You can also try like your local library. Some local libraries have subscriptions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We do have a multiple library system here that you can go to. Okay, I can try that.
You have a real good library system. I think your library system lends out tools, doesn't it?
It does. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It has a scanner, but just the cheap, OBD2,
Yeah. But I think I was up at one of your libraries once, and I looked and I said, "You lend out like drills and saws and stuff?" And they're like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, geez.
I was so mad. I was so mad when they went to this type of system, the new data cat. All the books they got rid of. I says, I would have taken all the automotive books from you, and they got rid of them all. I cried. I used to go there all the time and look through their books first.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. No. And the other thing is, if you play around on the internet, and I'm trying to look for it now. Let's see, favorites. There is a, what is it here? There is a, here it is. It's called, if you just do charm, CHARM.LI, and just type in that on your computer, charm.li. And It doesn't have I was going to say it doesn't have the newest stuff in here, but it has a lot of stuff in, and it's all free. And for instance, it doesn't have the Sentra, or does it? It only has the Sentra up to 2013, but it has a full, repair manual, all kinds of stuff, and that's absolutely free. And I don't know how much on here there is, because I haven't looked at it for yours. But there is a little bit of stuff, but there's also a lot of engine related stuff. Especially things like engine mounts and tune up and performance checks and things you're supposed to do. And you might find that there's some stuff you can learn, and it's free. And I don't know where it came from. Someone sent it to me one day and said, "Here, if you're ever looking for something, look here." And I remember sending somebody with a GM, like a 2005, 6, 7, 8 Buick. They were looking for a wiring diagram, and I said, "Well, it's right here. You can get it for free." So, charm.li.
Okay. I wasn't able to test the ABS, but there was something in the scanner that let me test the unit.
Yeah.
And it had one of the screens talked about ACT, ACT, two words, ACT, keep, which I had never heard of, and you could hit up or down.
Yeah.
In the test, and I'd never heard those terms.
So
before.
it sounds like it's an actuator for the ABS, so it's making the pump run.
Okay, because I could hear either a solenoid or the actuators working depending on the test.
Yeah, some cars you're supposed to actually run the ABS pump to bleed the air out of it, but on this one it makes it sound like when you disconnect it, you can bleed it the old-fashioned way.
Okay, well, I appreciate that input, and I will be out there today trying it. Thank you very much.
There you go. Okay. Take care, Jim.
And enjoy the warmer weather. I hate.
It's going to be 40 here on Tuesday, so it'll be like being in New England.
Oh, sure. Okay.
All right.
I'll pity you.
All right.
Thanks, John.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Our phone number again, 781-837-4900. Let's go to John in Melrose, and then we'll take a break. John, good morning.
Good morning. My question is, a couple of months ago, I won one of those spark detectors. Show. Now I have a 2019 Toyota, and I also have a 2014 Chevy pickup 1500. Now I scanned my truck, and my truck scans great.
Yep.
Now I tried scanning my Toyota 2019, and I can't get it to show anything on there. It just keeps referring back to my truck. Am I doing something wrong?
I think you have to, and I haven't. It's funny. I just was moving stuff around in my shed, and I picked up mine. I think you have to add. There's a place I think you have to add a second vehicle or more vehicles.
Oh. What do you mean a place to add?
Well, like when you use the app that goes with it, I think there's a way that you do a new vehicle on it. I don't, but I'm guessing because I don't remember. So yeah, and let's see.
I'll have to figure that out because I'm not great at figuring things like that out. You know?
Yeah, it's. Let's see what it says. I have a Spark device. Welcome aboard. No, it should. Yeah, I think you. I think it's. Well, I was just looking at the app on my phone, and it leads me to believe that it should find it on its own. But you need to make sure your Bluetooth's on your phone and all that stuff. But also, there may be an issue with data from Toyota, and the only reason I know this is one of the databases I use is motor repair manuals to look stuff up, and
Yes.
and Motor doesn't have a license for Toyota. So, they have all this different stuff, but there's no license for Toyota because I don't know if they can't. If I don't know if Motor's manual's gotten a fight with Toyota somewhere, but it seems like everything's so. It might have something weird to do with that, but I know I thought I found everything I needed to find. And I haven't used that Spark thing in 6 or 8 months, so I don't remember. But I think do the same thing. Make sure your Bluetooth's on your phone. Make sure it's plugged in, keys on, all that, and see if does it find the device when you plug it in. When you plug in the Spark thing to the OBD, does your phone find it? Does it see it?
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
No,
okay,
it doesn't.
so it may, it may be that you may have to go into the Bluetooth settings on your phone and then find it on that.
All right, I'll give that a shot.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you. I'll see what happens. Thank
All
you.
right. Good luck, John. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Why don't we take a break, pay some bills? If you'd like to join us, talk about whatever's on your mind, give us a call at 781-837-4900. When we come back, I'm going to talk about the VEUROID dash cam. This is the most sophisticated dash cam I have ever seen, and we'll talk about that when we come back. My name is John Paul. This is the Car Doctor program. You're listening on 95.9 WATD. We'll be right back.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and dining savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at AAA.com/join. That's AAA.com/join.
One-stop painting and renovating.
Hi, I'm Jeff Cohen, all-around nice guy and owner of the best painting company on the South Shore, One Stop Painting. I have a fleet of trucks and over 30 people on staff year-round. They're painters, they're carpenters, and they're power washers waiting to show you why we are consistently voted the best year after year. Now is the time to set up your free quote. From start to finish, One Stop Painting will do everything in-house with no subcontractors. We offer low and high-pressure cleaning systems for your vinyl or wood homes. Even your roof can be cleaned safely and efficiently. One Stop Painting can replace any damaged wood, and our thorough preparation and painting will keep your house looking great for many years. I personally guarantee that. Call my office today at 508-888-3500 or visit us online at onestoppainting.com. And let us show you why we're your one-stop for award-winning quality and service since 1986. And why we've held an A-plus accredited rating with the Better Business Bureau since the year we joined back in 1994.
One-stop painting and renovating.
Hi, this is Liz Loans. Tune into Twilight Showcase Radio, hosted by Sandy Stride and Keith James. Visit twilightshowcase.org.
Twilight Showcase, tonight from 8 to 10 on 95.9 WATD. Honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. He's John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD.
And welcome back to the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. I was just looking at a second location. Jim got me curious of whether there was anything different. Exactly the same procedure. Looking someplace else. Turn the ignition off. Disconnect the ABS actuator and electronic control unit. Connect a vinyl tube to the right rear brake bleeder. Depress the brake pedal 4 or 5 times. With the pedal depressed, loosen the brake bleeder to bleed air in the brake line. Tighten immediately. Repeat steps 3 and 4 until all the air is out of the brake line. So you're getting it all out of that right rear. Tighten the bleeder valve to the specified torque, and then repeat steps 2 through 6 with the master cylinder filled at least halfway. Bleed the air in the following order: front right, front left, right rear, and rear left. So same idea. So apparently there's no magic to this. So I hope that works for you. So I got this dash cam from a company called VEUROID, VEUROID. And I have a dash cam in my car. And you might say, why do you have a dash cam in your car? Well, when we were originally thinking of coming to Florida years back, I thought we were going to bring we were actually going to buy a small utility trailer, like a little 5x8 utility trailer. And I have never towed anything long distance, so I thought having a camera in the car, just in case something bad happened, wouldn't be a bad idea. So I got the camera, kind of horse before the cart, I guess. Tried to order the trailer from Lowe's. And this was during kind of the middle of COVID time. And I think I tried to order it in August. Maybe I tried to order it during the sales tax holiday. And I said, how soon will it be ready? And the woman at the desk at Lowe's called up the company who makes them and told me it would be ready in a year. So I said, well, that's not going to work. So we didn't bring as much stuff with us, which was good. But I still have the dash cam. And it just sort of sits up. It's tucked behind the rearview mirror. I don't really see it. It's a Garmin one. And what it will do is if you drift out of the lane, it will chirp. If there's a car that's going to stop short in front of you and you don't, it has sort of like advanced driver assistance features sort of built into it, although it doesn't do anything other than makes noise. So if you drift out of the lane, it lets you know. If you don't stop quick enough, it lets you know. If a car in front of you moves forward and you don't move, it beeps and lets you know. In the event of a collision, or anytime you make a hard stop, it'll start to record. And it records kind of constantly at short periods of time. Fortunately, I've never had to use it for anything other than novelty purposes. And it just sits up there and doesn't bother me. It's not in the way of anything. This one it's called the S1 4K Infinite, INFINITE. It's a 4K 60 frames per second camera, and it's 2-channel. It actually has a rear camera. And again, it is one of the most sophisticated things I've ever seen. It has an AI app, so artificial intelligence app. It has heat monitoring in case it gets too hot in the car. It will shut down before it breaks. It has a pretty wide-angle view. It has vehicle battery protection. This looks like if if Jesse decided that he doesn't work enough and he wanted to become an Uber driver, this is the kind of thing you'd want to have, because you can set up the rear camera to keep track of what's going on inside the car, and then your forward-facing camera so you can see what's going on in front of you, and that rear-facing camera, besides keeping track of what's going on in the car, could also see out the back. So you would have a full record of everything that's going on in your car, and somebody couldn't say, the Uber driver tried to take me someplace I didn't want to go, or, tried to extort money from me, or whatever the case is. It looks like a really good unit. I haven't hooked it up to try it yet. But it looks like a really high-quality unit, very well made. Cables and connections all look really, really good. It looks like a high-quality unit that will do its job. And maybe maybe everybody kind of follows the Apple way of life, where packaging makes a real difference these days. And this thing, if you've purchased an iPad or an iPhone, it's packaged almost the same way. Like the packaging's almost as good as the product is. The user manual is pretty straightforward. It tells you how to install it. And again, all the main unit, the main camera unit, is I would say about 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. Big display screen, so you can see pretty well. Adjustable lens on the front. Really good. The rear camera is probably 1 by 2 inches. And again, you can mount that. It's optional, however you want to do it. And it comes with all the various connectors and wiring and all that sort of stuff. Everything's pretty simple plug-ins, like the two cameras just plug into each other. And again, it's one of these things that you look at and you go, you know, they put a lot of thought into how it's packaged, how it's wired. Looks like a pretty simple, although to do it right, you know, you're going to spend a couple hours to tuck all the wires away so you can't see them. But I think if you're somebody who wants to, you know, kind of keep track of everything that's going on inside your car, you know, this is a really good unit for that. And it's one of those things that I think if you have a need for a dash camera, this is one of those ones that you might want to really consider. I saw something very similar to this, looked like a very similar design recently on. It was in a. I think it was some European video that I was watching, and it had because they were getting in the car on the opposite side. So I was like, oh, and it looked like the same dash camera setup. So again, it's looks like a really high quality product. And again, I haven't tested it yet. I assume it's going to do everything it says it's supposed to. It uses dual Sony cameras, again, a hybrid lens, real wide field of view. It has night vision, and it actually has plate capture. So, you know, it can actually kind of single out a license plate. So if something bad happens, you actually have the license plate. So, I don't know. It's a good unit. It's I don't know when I'm going to get to installing it. I might install it before the drive back home, whenever that's going to be, because the plan is that we might leave the Hyundai here and take the older Volkswagen back home with us to replace the even older Volkswagen that's up north. So we're going to do that. If you'd like to join us and talk about cars, car stuff, car questions, whatever's on your mind, you can do it. Got some interesting questions this week. Somebody with a Toyota Sienna van, and they said the interior lights of our Toyota Sienna have not been working for over a year. When the doors were open, the interior lights would come on. We tried everything to get them to come on with no avail. This is a problem, especially at night when there's no sunlight. Could you please advise? Well, if you've been around for a while, if you've been tinkering with cars for a while, you know that used to be dome lights were simple. There was a little pin switch that grounded a wire. The wire made the light come on. That's pretty much it. Nothing much more complicated than that. Well, not anymore. Even in this car, which is 7 years old, it's a pretty complicated system. There are 4 fuses that run this system. Only one really runs the dome light, but the other fuses sort of run the stuff that goes up to it. There's a pretty complicated wiring harness. The wiring harness goes to a body control module. There's a timer circuit. I would start by the simple things. Let's make sure it just didn't blow a 10 amp fuse that runs the dome light circuit. So check all the fuses. Get there with a test light and check all the fuses. Make sure they all work. I would use a test light or an ohm meter to make sure the fuse is okay. Use an ohm meter that can handle a little bit of current draw across it. Make sure that's okay. And then once the fuses are all good, I would start by looking at any wiring issues. But the next thing I would look at is a relay, and it's a timer relay. What happens when you get in a lot of cars today, when you close the door, the lights dim, sort of dim, theater-style dimming. They'll do the same thing when you open the door. They'll kind of get bright slowly. I would look at that and make sure that's working the way it should. Then after that, it becomes complicated. Then you need, Jim and North Reading's scan tool, and you need to plug into the car, and you want to make sure all the door switches are open and closed when they're supposed to be open and closed. And then you want to see if you can actuate the door switches. You want to see if you can actuate lights and so forth. And I guess just to be silly, you want to make sure that all the bulbs work. Is there a manual control that you can turn the dome lights on to make sure they all just come on? Sounds kind of silly, but you want to make sure, there has been troubleshooting around, and people try different things. Worth looking at. Question just came in. I need more light. In my 2005 Highlander, the bulbs are 905 and 906. When I look on the web, I see many different kinds of bulbs that claim 8,000% more light. I see LEDs, xenon, and others. Can you tell me what kind of light does that really put out? I've used these 80 watt and 100 watt bulbs, but I've found that they get too hot for my light housing. Yeah, I mean, LED bulbs are definitely brighter. The problem with LED bulbs need to be designed for the reflector housing that they're in, and they're not. And that's why companies like Sylvania, who makes every kind of light bulb in the world, they'll advertise LED bulbs, but they only advertise them for like fog lights and driving lights, not for headlights, because they would like to be able to sell them. And the problem is when you put in a LED bulb, it could be really bright, but the light is really scattered because it's not focused. It's not where it needs to be. Xenon bulbs, which are high-intensity discharge bulbs, those require a transformer. The other problem with LED bulbs don't draw as much amperage, don't draw the same amount of current as a regular bulb does. And you may end up with a light that comes on your dash because the car thinks there's a headlight out. And then there's kits, then there's another kit you buy that tricks it to puts the light out. I would try... I use Sylvania Silver Star bulbs. They're whiter. They're a little brighter. They're not a lot brighter. They give a little bit more light. The problem is they burn hotter, not temperature-wise. Well, I guess maybe a little bit. They burn a little bit hotter, and they don't last as long. Regular headlight bulbs last, 5 to 10 years. Although realistically, they start to dim after about 3 years. So if you have 3-year-old bulbs in your car, they're already putting out probably 60% of light output when they were new. That's why sometimes when you put some of these brighter bulbs in, like the Sylvania Silver Star Plus or the GE, I think they're Nighthawk bulbs, if you put those in, you'll find that they look really bright compared to what you took out, because what you took out already started to dim. Other than that, it's kind of interesting. I went up to visit Rob Hackler at the radio station. I like to try to stop in once a year to say hi, and when I was up there, we just got talking about vision, and the guy who owns King Optical in Braintree was there. And we were talking about things like, he says he gets people coming in all the time. Is there a way that you can do anything more for my nighttime vision? And I just sort of casually threw out there that, between the time you're 20 and 60, you need 3 times as much light to see. And by the time you turn 80 years old, you need 4 times as much light to see. Unfortunately, it's just sort of a fact of life with aging. You're just going to need more light to see. So I wouldn't try the LEDs because I think I think you might be disappointed in the overall performance of them. And I always worry about, and I've only seen this happen once or twice. I saw somebody put LED taillights in a Toyota Tacoma that didn't have them, and it actually caused a check engine light to come on. And it actually did some damage. Not a lot, but it did some damage. So I always worry about different voltage, different current doing different things. The one LEDs that, and you see them occasionally on older cars. In fact, the post office is using them on some of their older vans. It's where the regular old one-piece seal beam was. It's a complete replacement with the LED, with like 4 LED bulbs, and it's a complete replacement made into the seal beam. Those are probably better because that bulb was made for that reflector. But just sticking a LED bulb in there that's going to be half an inch longer or 3/4 of an inch shorter than the bulb that's in there is going to cause problems, in my opinion. Some people put them in. I've seen some of the videos online. I saw one that was a Jeep, and he was putting lights in, and he had it parked up against the garage door, and he's like, "Look how much brighter it is," and it was a lot brighter. But are you blinding oncoming traffic? And is the light usable light? The thing with like factory xenon and LED bulbs, they're brighter, no question, but it's also very controlled, usable light. If you look at the light output, it's very squared off. It shines just where it's supposed to shine. So, Jim, I don't have a good answer other than I tried the Sylvania Silver Star Plus. See how they work for you. Somebody else wrote to me and said, this was kind of funny. They wrote to me at 7:14 this morning. "Hi, my tire pressure warning light is on. I turn on the car, it flashes for a while, then goes solid. I hold the TPMS button for a while, but the light doesn't flash 3 times. Any ideas?" And then 5 minutes later, it's fixed. I held the button for 10 seconds, kept the car in the on position, and the light's off. That's what you're supposed to do. But hopefully what they did is they inflated the tires properly. So put whatever they're supposed to be, 32, 33, 34 pounds of air in all 4 tires, then press the reset button. This is an older style TPMS system that also might be at the end of its life. So, do that. A guy by the name of Michael wrote to me and said, "I have a 2026 Genesis GV70 with 2 distinct key fobs. I'd like to link the driver 1 profile to one key fob and driver 2 profile to the other. Copilot, Microsoft's AI service, provides some very detailed instructions how to do this. They don't work. The Genesis salesman says the vehicle cannot perform this seemingly simple function, but the fingerprint reader could be used to do it. Fingerprint reader is awkward, particularly when wearing gloves in the winter. Using the infotainment system to switch profiles works, but that's a multi-step procedure ending with an additional step to confirm which profile you want. Are you aware of a simple method to switch profiles on the key fob?" And I have definitely seen this ability to do this before in other cars where, the key fobs are sort of locked into the car, where you can program them differently. So when you use one key fob, it sets the radio stations, the seat, the mirrors, and all that stuff. The other key fob, different radio stations, different mirrors, setting different seats. But it can't be done on this one. And people say to me, sometimes, "Where do you get your information?" I try to get it everywhere. I try to get it. Some of it's just experience from doing stuff. Some of it's repair manuals, technical information. Some of it's as simple as going to the owner's manual. And today, nearly every owner's manual is online. And when I looked in the owner's manual, it said you can have different profiles, but they can't be tied to a specific key fob. They're linked to the driver's profile on your car's infotainment system. System can automatically switch profiles if you use the digital key-enabled smartphone linked to your profile. So you can't do it. There's the answer. Why don't we take another break? When we come back, we only have a couple minutes left, and we'll talk about what we got coming up next week. You're listening to the Car Doctor program at 95.9 WATD. We'll be right back.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and dining savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at aaa.com/join. That's aaa.com/join.
Hey there, folks. It's Quinn Kelly reminding you to tune in Sunday night at 5 for the South Shore's first voice in sports talk radio, The Sports Exchange. Unmatched coverage of local high school action, as well as a relatable voice on all things Boston Pro Sports. We've got you covered live at 5 every Sunday night. Have a question for our host, missed last week's show, or just want to share a great sports story? You can find us on Twitter at SE on WATD. But remember, mark your calendar, folks, and we'll see you Sunday night at 5 for the Sports Exchange on 95.9 WATD.
Make an appointment Sunday morning at 11 for John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD. Now, back to the Car Doctor.
And welcome back to the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. It sounds like I just skipped. So coming up next week, we're talking with our friend Wes Bowling. He is from Nokian Tires. We're going to talk about, getting ready for wintertime, sort of like the, tire pressure monitor system. So we're going to be talking to him coming up next week. I think near the end of the month, we're talking to Kristen Brokoff from Car MD. They're the ones that make scanners, but they also have this new little tiny plug-in under-dash scanner. And what's kind of neat about it, besides it keeping track of where your car is, it also has a artificial intelligence feature where you can ask it questions and it gives you answers. And it's pretty good. It actually gives some pretty good answers back. So pretty good thing. So we got that coming up in a couple weeks too. So we have a lot going on over the next few weeks. So stay tuned to the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. So until next week, make sure you wear your seatbelt, drive safely, be good to your car, and if you see an emergency vehicle by the side of the road, slow down or move over. It saves lives. Talk to y'all next week. Bye-bye.